And then, hello. This is Magi, or Dan from Indicator. And today we're talking to Cristian Gajda from uh, Gacriva Studio, who is
Yep.
going to talk to us today about their upcoming games Flagstone Getae Legacy and Flagstone Dreams of God.
Yes.
Can you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about you and your studio?
Oh my. So I started this studio, I think in 2019, but we actively started developing games in 2020 in January. Actually, we won a European grant, and with that, I've started everything. But at the end of the year, also we got COVID, which was a very nice, sarcastically speaking, a very nice experience because we had to reshape everything, and we at that point I had made the game theoretically by myself, and I'm saying theoretically because within that game I used a bunch of marketplace assets.
Which is
And what
understandable. It's like what a lot of smaller developers especially do.
Yeah, no, but I wanted to take it to the next level, and they had very big issues getting investment to hire a bunch of artists to do dedicated artwork for the game. And because I was the only developer, and their first question was like, what will happen to the game if you get sick? And due to that, I started to build a team, and slowly I found Tony, which now it's my partner. He actually developed Flagstone, Dreams of God, the TTRPG.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an issue within games that he managed to tackle, and that would help my game that I envisioned to build with this team. And my solution to that game fixed one of his problem with his game, and
It seems so you
that's why.
two made two different games and now you're working together because you got to rub it up each other.
Yeah, kinda. Well, we started to work on it. It used to be called Project Salmoxis. It was very extensive game design document there, but the game, even to the tiniest details, like what plugins we will use for the demo and so on, to showcase how we kind of envision this game and having the core mechanics there. The idea was taken, or it was just a weird coincidence, because I don't have proof to further. I don't know how to say, like, yeah, let's just leave it there. We don't have proof that the entire idea was taken, except two things was different within this game that just appeared after 1 year of doing a lot of work. The team got a little bit demoralized, and that's obviously. And we've decided to make the digital game based off the core mechanics of the TTRPG game. But the changes that the digital game has over the TTRPG one is the fact that it's real time and it's not turn based.
Can you tell me more about your game? The upcoming ones, Flagstone Dreams of God, which is the TTRPG, and the one that you just said that is inspired by it or takes a lot of it but changes it as well is Getae Legacy, I assume?
Yes. Uh, So for the TTRPG, the core rules and everything, so you could build the character, do everything that you can do in a TTRPG. It will be available for free on our website, so everybody can play it. And like how D&D has it, to give another example that's out there, we will also have custom books and deluxe editions and so on that people can buy.
Okay, so the game will be available for free, but people can, if they want to, also support you monetarily, right?
Yes.
I see. That's interesting. What sort of inspirations are there aside from D&D you just mentioned? What other inspirations what other things did you take inspiration from for the development here?
Yeah, like I said, this is Tony's idea basically, and he played Pathfinder and couldn't make the system to work towards his liking, so he started to develop Flagstone Dreams of God to such a degree that now it's levelless and classless. So you can build your own class. You're not stuck by, I don't know, cleric or warrior or thief or whatever else, mage and so on are there. And now we are working on the body plan, which you will be able to make your own creature using various components. But we have 12 races, 6 races, let's say, that are some sort of templates, like to give you, like, if you don't want to go through all the tedious work of making something, you can pick up the full man, which is a draconic humanoid, or you can pick a human, or you can pick an ankana, which is like a carnivorous mammal in humanoid form.
I see. So those are just presets that you can select from, and you can edit them if you want to, or you can create your own like 4-armed warrior if you want to as well. So there's a lot of freedom, sort of like in Spore, for instance, where you also can just design your own creature or select a preset.
Yes, exactly.
I see.
Something.
And the classless system, can I
So
think of it sort of like in Skyrim, for instance, or the other Elder Scrolls games where you don't have a class that you select, but rather just pick whatever skills you use and level those as you go?
yeah, kinda.
Kind of like that. That's interesting. I also love that Tony, your partner in crime, so to speak, your business partner, is that he went from, I like Pathfinder, but I'm frustrated with these mechanics that I can't do the way I want to do them. So let's make it new. Like, there's a lot of people that complain about games, but nobody who tries to actually, like, there's a lot of people that try to make it their own, make their own game that is different and better. And I like that. It's a lot of innovation.
Yeah, and the abilities that you've mentioned, it's not like you're picking a skill. Like, for example, you pick Fireball, and now you can, I don't know, you use Fireball 100 times, and now you're level 100 on Fireball, because, like I said, it's levelless. And our goal, like, this is not a promise, but our goal is, if you can imagine an ability, you can create it with our system. That's our goal. And obviously you need to have the right unlocks, let's call them like that, because skills is not quite correct. And to continue with this Fireball example, I can tell you, like, for example, if you want to make a fireball, you would pick the projectile, you would pick the sphere, and you will pick fire, and everything will be based on the imagine the chakras will have like some sort of like your traditional skill trees, something like that, and those components will be within those. Like, for example, the sphere that I mentioned is in the crown chakra, the fire is in the fire chakra or the solar plex chakra, how it's called.
I see. So
And
there's different components, and you can mix and mash them together to create your own skills, basically, like different spells or like throwing a stone, but instead of a stone, you pick up a person or something like that, I guess.
yes.
I see. Very, very interesting. How much of this is already like in your prototype, and like how much of that is already in there and works, and how much do you still have to work on it?
We have this is a somewhat of a difficult question to answer, but for the TTRPG we have an, let's call it an alpha,
Mm-hmm.
that everybody can join our community, join the playtesting, just pick that they want to be playtesters, and we. For now, I think it's every Wednesday, and if more people will join, we will also do Friday or Monday or something like that,
I see. I see.
so they
And
can experience this at this stage.
it's very interesting, especially when you have like other elements in the game as well that will be sort of sandboxy, kind of like, it's you've got the tools here and you can do whatever you want with them. I feel like those mechanics can be done very well, but it can also be challenging to balance. What is your kind of philosophy around it? Do you just leave players to it and do whatever you want, or do you sometimes say, hey, okay, this needs some tweaking, or this needs to be nerfed a little bit?
This will sound surreal because Tony came up with the ranking system, and because we had so many iterations, so many changes to fit in with the amount of customization that's going on in this game, we had to change a lot from its original design. That now it reached the point that how can I phrase this better? It reached a point that we realized that this ranking system can be literally used for everything, and the system balances itself. Like, we don't need to do nerfs and buffs like you've mentioned about.
I see. So it is like different ranks. Can you explain that ranking system? Because I can't really picture it.
Yeah, oddly, it's very easy. It's from E to S plus.
Yeah.
Like the Japanese ranking system. Like you go E, D, C, B, A, S, and S plus.
Okay.
And you have an efficiency, which it would be how efficient your whatever this ranking is applied to. You have a range, which for the TTRPG is the dice, that it's from D4 all the way to D20, and it's capped at D20. And you have the potency, as we call it now, which also it's ranked from E to S. And the formula, it's very easy, at least for calculating the rank, the rating, with the ranks. It's efficiency times range plus potency.
Oh, I
And
see.
then
So it automatically gets calculated into a specific rank, and it all comes with different, like, a higher level spell, like higher rank spells cost more of a resource, for instance, I assume.
yes.
I see. So I can see how it would then balance itself automatically, and you don't need to adjust it because there's everything in that formula, kind of.
Yes, exactly. Like even the rarity of an object in the world, like like you've met the distance, the volume, everything. It can fit in within that formula.
I see.
Now, not the name of the game, which is Flagstone. Not all, but the most of our bonuses are coming from the flagstones, which are falls under 4 categories, which is your vitality, finesse, ego, and cognition. And each one of them has a ton of keywords that you can use, and that bonus will be add up to your rank, like plus whatever bonus, something like that.
I see.
It
So
works.
I'd assume that the ego, for instance, is stuff like charisma and kind of affects prices, I reckon, because I haven't seen that used much in games. Like I've seen it used in Caves of Quid, for instance, but not in other games.
Like how you have it in D&D with or even Skyrim, because you've mentioned Skyrim earlier. You have strength, dexterity, agility, God knows what else, like charisma and luck. We don't have those. We have the flagstones, and that's it. And basically everything that evolves around your health comes from your vitality, like the name suggests. Finesse, it's your movement. You can think it of as a movement.
Okay.
Ego can stand just for ego. Charisma, yeah, it kind of can fall there, but we don't have the keyword charisma.
Okay.
Per se. And cognition is more related to the mana and fate, because we have an extra pool for the. This is another thing that this game will bring to the table, is that everything is connected from this dream, and you can pull out stuff from there, like even creatures, various things you can connect to it.
Oh, I see. So Flagstone Dreams of God refers to these dreams that you take. You derive your power from those dreams of gods, I guess.
Yeah, kinda.
Kind of, yeah. Very interesting.
You can imagine, I don't know, a child going in the middle of the night to, I don't know, going behind the shack to play and come back or something like that, not to use another example. And they will see a shadow looking very scary in the distance. Probably it's just how the leaves are arranged or something like that. Like it's a shadow illusion, like it's not an actual creature there, but they will see that. Now, this happens only in Duende, not on Earth, which is the other world. Every action within the TTRPG happens within this world, where the mana density is way higher, and due to the fact that it's also psycho-reactive, when this girl comes back home, probably the next day will start to tell all the villagers that there is a giant monster with fangs, or God knows how she will describe that monster. And because mana is psychoreactive and very abundant in this world, from the fate, basically from the dream, that creature will start to form because of the people believing that creature exists. So now that creature will exist.
Oh, I see. I've seen something similar in an anime/manga called Chainsaw Man, where these devils exist because people believe in them or are afraid of them. And they're like manifestations of real fears that people have. Like the future devil, because lots of people are scared of the future.
Mm-hmm.
I see. That's interesting. Yeah, I like it when games try something different with the power system and how what the origins are of the creatures in this world. Like a lot of fantasy TTRPGs especially, but also like works of fiction in general have this miasma that, for instance, creates monsters, or monsters are just animals, or monsters come from a different world altogether, or something like that. And so it's very interesting to see the monsters or creatures or spells even coming from the imagination of the players, but also the inhabitants of that world. So it's going to be like the key selling point for Flagstone Dreams of God, I reckon.
Yeah, our superstars, I'm calling it them like that, is our ability creator.
Yeah.
And our attempt on players being able to talk to NPCs. But the second one, it's just for the digital, for now at least.
Yeah, we'll talk about talking to the NPCs later on. I first wanted to also talk about Flagstone Getae Legacy, which is a next-gen RPG roguelike with sandbox element that is based on the history, mythology, and culture of the Getae. Can you tell us more about that?
Ooh. Do you want to talk about the history or the...
Oh, the game itself, the actual game.
Because with the history, I can go on forever.
Yeah, obviously. Personally, I study philosophy, so I get a lot of that. I love history, mythology, and learning more about cultures from all sorts of parts. And I feel like the Getae don't get mentioned enough. But, this is about the game itself. So, can you tell us more about this next-gen roguelike RPG with sandbox element called Getae Legacy?
Yeah, sure. So basically, that's why it's a mouthful, the entire description there, because there is no genre that says you have all of this. And basically the sandbox part, it's the fact that you can destroy everything in the world. So I don't know, you can imagine No Man's Sky, something like that, but you won't be limited as much as in No Man's Sky.
Yeah, so like a fully destructible kind of sandbox world. I guess we could imagine something like Noita, which is a 2D pixel roguelike, where you can also like mix potions or put everything on fire or drill through the ground or use bombs to destroy walls, etc.
Yes. Now, the roguelike, it's a little bit different because you don't have a game over and you start over with something saved, like the roguelike genre is being kind of designed in that way. Ours, it's a little bit different. Basically, when you die, you have a bunch of options. And let's say you cannot be immediately resurrected by your teammates or your companions or whatever. You go through a, let's call it a transition place, which will be a different dimension, and from there you will come back and be reborn.
I see. And then when you're reborn, are you like the same person as before, or like are you a different sort of character?
You will be different character because now you will have different parents, and not necessarily, let's say in your past life you were a human, in this life you're not necessarily locked in being a human. You can be born as an Ankana. The only thing that will go from one life to another will be the components that I was talking about previously, that you will lock them with fate seeds. And the fate seeds basically are, they imagine that when mana starts to materialize, it materializes in this crystal form, and that crystal, we call it tetanandite. And with those, basically, those are the fate crystals, and using those crystals you will be able to lock your ability. So in case of dying, you will you will keep your not abilities, but your components from your chakra, for example, or your flagstone bonuses.
I see. So you keep some of the. You can basically make it so that you don't lose some of the resources you had before. Essentially.
Only the only the characters resources, but not like items or something like that.
Yeah, like as in the resources that you put into the skills, for instance. You mentioned the chakras and stuff, so you seal those so that they're not lost forever, even after you die.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
kind of like in The Flame and the Flood, which is a survival, crafting, etc. roguelike, where you're building a raft and on a river you set up bases every now and then, and you can't ever go back. And when you die in that game, your dog runs off trying to find help, and you basically start fresh as a new character with that dog, and the dog has some items in their pouch basically that you can use already. But instead of items in it will be in Getae Legacy, you'll have these resources that you locked with the face seeds. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, almost perfectly. Aside from the dog part, because
Yeah,
let's
obviously, it's the face seeds are basically what the dog is in that game. It's a different game after all.
Yeah. With the items, I wanted to say that's the difference.
Yeah.
Let's say you died next to the Big Bang Tower, because that's a very known thing all over the world. You die next to it, and for let's say there is a time gap that's happening. There's 16 years pass,
Okay.
and you starting at the age of 16, basically in the next life. You you can go there and dig, because probably sediment poured over your body or something like that over those years, and you can find your body and the items belonging to you.
I see. You mentioned teammates earlier. Are those going to be like? Is it going to be like multiplayer with other people? And how does reincarnation work when they're also like still playing the game?
That's a little bit complicated topic. How we envision it, at least for the first iteration of the game, is to have different instances.
I see.
And you will be in a different instance if you died. But as a multiplayer, we limited our scope to a local multiplayer similar to, I don't know, Ark Survival Evolved, where you can make your own server and become the host, and the rest of the people can join your server or something like that.
I see. So basically, when you play with others, you'll be in one instance, and when you die or someone else dies, they'll join the next instance, and then when you die, you'll join theirs, basically.
Yes.
I see. That's interesting. That's very interesting. From what I've heard, your game will have voxel elements. I'd imagine that the world will be kind of voxely, right? Or
Yes,
what
that's
is?
why I give the example of No Man's Sky, something like that. It won't be like Minecraft. Like, it will be more smooth voxels.
I see. Okay. What like inspire? Let's see. Since the game will be a roguelike RPG with some of those other elements to it, what other inspirations are there in terms of like the gameplay itself? You mentioned No Man's Sky, some Ark,
Yes, Skyrim as well.
the Skyrim as well.
Yeah, aside from the first person view.
Do you personally also play a lot of games, or and if so, are those like your favorite games, or do you have other games that you play?
Yeah, Skyrim used to be my favorite game because of the modding community, to be honest. It added so much more to it. It's unbelievable. and it's still on. It's ongoing even today. New mods are being developed or updated or so on.
What are some of your favorite moments in Skyrim, for instance, or in gaming in general? Like your personal moments that you experienced?
Mm. I'm more of a completionist guy, so the Legacy of the Dragonborn, the museum mod, that was completing that. Oh my god, it was one of the best moments, I guess.
Will there also be something like that in the game, and like in both your games, that kind of lets other people also, I don't know, create a museum or do something else that gave you a lot of pleasure as a player?
Well, everything at one point, everything will be craftable in the game, so you can make your own house and make your own museum if you want to make your own museum.
I
You
see.
can, because how the abilities, you make them out of components. That's how you buildings, weapons, you will make them out of components. Like for example, you will make a blade, a pommel, an arm guard, and the handle, and you will have a sword. You will make a sword with those. So everything will be very, very customizable.
And the world itself, is it more of a fantasy setting or medieval-ish? Or you mentioned like the Big Ben earlier, but I'd imagine that that's not going to be in the game.
No. I just said as an example, as a marker on the world that
I see, okay.
nice easily.
But yeah, like medieval-ish, or since it's based on the culture of the Getae, I'd imagine it's more so like ancient Greece kind of time period with some fantasy elements.
Yeah, kinda ancient, but there are certain things about them that show that they had interesting advancements that nobody else had at that time. Like for example, the interesting mold that they discovered in Sarmisegetusa, which is the actual capital of the Dacia. And with this artifact, basically had molds. It was a copper artifact, I mean a bronze artifact that you could pour gold in it, and you have various shapes coming out of it. Like, and the interesting part was that you had tigers, lions, elephants, pumas, animals that these guys, based on the history, shouldn't know about. But they made the mold for them in fighting poses, in various interesting poses. So we're trying to bring that complexity as well. And now the sheer amount of rings with crafted stones that are coming out all over the place, those will be to a degree integrated as well in the game.
Okay.
And today it's very hard to make such a ring. Like, imagine a stone on your ring that has the face of somebody. We have way too many of those, to the point that now the price went from millions of one of those rings 10 years ago to now that you can buy it for 2,000 or 4,000 because of the sheer amount of rings discovered. And this shows it not just one artisan somewhere managed to do this type of ring. Like, there were many people who knew how to make these rings, or to craft a tiny stone that you need the hourglass just to look at it and know what's sculpted on the gem.
Oh, you mean like a magnifying glass?
Magnifying glass.
Yeah. Hourglass is the time thing with the sand inside. But yeah, interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of culture and history that also was lost by from the Geta, because most of the things that we know nowadays are what historians in ancient Greece and from the Roman Empire have written about the Getae, as far as I know.
Yeah, the only thing that now kind of changes the history is the archaeology finds.
Yeah,
That are
archaeological finds.
yes, exactly. Like they managed to find a lot of items with like a giant trail from north of Romania today all the way to Denmark, showing that there was some sort of a trade route.
I see. And you're since you're taking inspiration from it, obviously not replicating their culture or anything like that. That would be way too difficult to do, especially for a game and a studio of your size. Are you working with like historians or something like that, or some organization to get information, or do you do all your research yourself?
We have 3 historians that help us. Actually, there are 2 historians and one that specializes in symbology and shows from 7,000 years ago when the word Getty didn't even exist yet. The symbolism was still used 100 years ago, the same symbols. So there is that shows a continuity of this culture and how it evolved.
I see. Very, very interesting. So earlier you also touched upon it, but unlike other games, unlike other RPGs, this one will have an ever-changing world with machine learning algorithms generating infinite stories, items, quests, and creatures. How do you implement that, or is it already partially implemented? Can you tell us more about it?
Sure. So the items are not made by AI. Basically, you can have a bunch of splines. Those are, let's say, lines with points. And those lines, you can generate a mesh in it. And then you can texture that mesh. Like it's that simple. And you just put them in various shapes. And with certain adjustments, you can make endless variations. Like we don't need the machine learning algorithm to output sorts from pictures on the internet. We can just make a bunch of shapes and then let a traditional generator generate items until the computer crashes, for
Okay,
example.
so it's like a program that basically does that for you. It's you basically have the meshes and everything, and it will just generate it, but it won't just copy paste stuff from the internet or take
No,
data sets from artists or anything like that.
no.
In what capacity are you using machine learning in the game?
For managing events within the game, we will use it in the sense that there won't be a guy on the top of the mountain that will wait for you until you engage with him and start the quest.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say, let's give a smaller example. Like you have a village and now it's attacked by bandits. That's a the event that might be generated. Now, let's say, fortunately, there are a lot of survivors, but because of what happened in the village, they will start to build fences. They will start to sell whatever resource they will be known for or have nearby to hire guards from a nearby kingdom, let's say. And next time, if another team of bandits will come to raid the village, they will be prepared for that.
I see. So the world changes, and the AI or the machine learning algorithm or whatever, the program basically creates those scenarios and changes the world itself, essentially. And you could just get to experience that and maybe influence it as well as a player.
Yeah, definitely.
So, how does the machine come up with that? How does it, like, it's not going to be random, obviously. It's probably going to use some algorithm, and it will probably be trained on some data.
Well, the main scope of this, don't think ChatGPT scope, because that's a giant beast. Think of small, like how they've marketed recently the GPTs, which are very small, very precise AIs that does one thing and does it well. Those type of things we will use to, for example, manage this type of events, and they will kind of analyze a region, and their purpose will be to make it thrive or survive. That's it.
Okay, so it's like an AI, so to speak, that has a goal and knows how to achieve it, and then does that basically. And when something happens, it will react to that.
Yes.
And it's not going to be trained on some data that you don't own or anything like that, like writers or blog posts or whatever, but rather you'll train it yourself, I assume?
Yeah, it will do a lot of mistakes until it's a self-learning algorithm. So it will do a lot of mistakes until he will manage to have a good outcome. And our goal is not to make it impossible to beat. Our goal is to limit that learning algorithm to a point where makes the world believable. Like those people won't start to become the next powerhouse in the world because a team of bandits attacked them or something like that.
Okay, so you'll basically train it yourself and have certain limitations in place so that the game doesn't go crazy and create World War III with modern day guns or anything like that.
Yes, yes.
um, so with generating infinite stories, items, quests, and stuff, it says so in the press release, so that's where I got the quote from. Are you not afraid that possibly at some point the game just repeats itself or becomes repetitive? Like in some MMOs where there's only finite amount of quests, obviously, but there's a lot of, oh, kill this, oh, fetch this item, oh, go to talk to this person, come back when you're done, etc. quests. How do you stop, or how do you intend to stop it from being repetitive or possibly just repeating itself straight up or getting boring even?
I think now, obviously, like you said, there is a limit amount of quests that we can give players
Mm-hmm.
due to what you can do even in real life. And what we hope to achieve is, let me give you an example because I work better with examples.
Yeah, obviously.
You go into a village and you find this blacksmith that's sad. For you have no, you can, I don't know, either see it on him, his pose standing there, and you can go to him and say, what happened, why are you sad? And he would reply, I don't have enough materials to forge the swords that I need to forge for, I don't know, Kingdom X. And you will say, okay, I can bring you that. And that basically it will be some sort of a note. And because the world is dynamic and it's not standing around, while you're going, if you go far away and you for some reason forgot about this guy because now you're fighting a big monster or something like that, you will realize when you come back with let's say iron ore, just for the sake of example, you will realize that the guy will say, oh, I can buy you for cheap this iron ore, but I don't need it anymore because another villager or another nearby trader might come and give this guy the resources that he needed.
I see.
So
So you'll
it,
basically have these scenarios kind of that play out, and depending on how you react, you might get a different outcome. But also, they'll change And at times you might have an unexpected situation as well at hand, where a fetch quest turns into a fighting quest, or something like that.
Yeah, it can be. If let's say the mine is populated with something, some creatures, and but the fact that the other NPCs can take on quests, so to speak, it will be some sort of a race. So everything will feel more personal and more, I think, more realistic in a sense. Like you won't have a pop-up thing on your screen. You have quest, kill 3 monsters of this type. They will say deal with the wolves. Now, depending if there are 5 wolves, 2 wolves, 100 wolves, you will deal with those wolves. Or you won't necessarily need to kill them. You might find a way to lure them away. I don't know. You summon, for example, a deer, and you make the deer. You can enchant the deer to run faster, and you can make it lure the wolves in a different place, or something like that. And that's your way of dealing with the wolves. And now you come back and receive the reward. Tell that you've dealt with the wolves. Like you don't need to kill them necessarily.
Is a quality of these quests and scenarios a concern to you, or do you think that just having more is better than having few but good ones, if that makes sense? As in, like, quantity versus quality. Do you think it's a concern if a game has like infinite quests, but like a big chunk of them are possibly boring or kind of not great?
So yeah, we have tackled with that as well.
Mm-hmm.
There are 2 major powers in the world. Depending on which side you are, you can say one it's the protagonist and the other the antagonist, or the other way around. If you're joining the antagonist, you might find that for you the protagonist will be the antagonist. And these 2 big, not big in the sense of giants, but because of their scope, one is to destroy the Hyperboreans, in which how we call the gods, because gods are just evolved humans basically in this game.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have that omnipotent power. You have a bunch of humans that even you being able to reincarnate and remembering from your past life and continuing from there, it doesn't matter if you die 20 times, you still remember what you've did. That makes you a Hyperborean basically. And that, let's put it from humans perspective because it's easier to discuss about it. The antagonist will try to destroy humanity, and the protagonist will try to fight against that. So the world won't be as peaceful as you might expect. Like with these village examples, to move on from there, you might go, like, for example, to get the iron for the blacksmith, and you find out that there is now a major fight happening there because the antagonist came in with a bunch of monsters from another world and destroying the entire village. And either you can try to fight them or flee, or you might build your house somewhere and a giant will pass by and destroy the land, and probably your house will be destroyed as well. You have to learn what's going on in the world at a bigger scale, like how you would have in a traditional game. You have main quests and side quests. You kind of have to keep track a little bit of the main quest so you don't fall where you don't want to fall.
Okay, so there's basically an end to the game at some point once your side has won or something like that, I guess. Or restoring peace and whatnot, or stopping all sides or something like that. But there will be like an infinite amount, technically, of like, or sheer endless amount of side quests, for instance.
Yeah, I wouldn't say infinite, but yeah, not as in infinite types of quests, but constantly something will happen that will give you something to do, let's say.
I see, I see. So it will basically just, the machine itself will generate something that you can do, but there isn't an infinite amount of stories or whatever to tell. It's just a very big amount, so that you
Yes.
eventually, you will probably not see the end of the amount that is there.
No, like for example, you might kill the antagonist. And now for 16 years, there will be peace. Because that's how much time it takes to be reborn.
Mm-hmm.
And you might find out that this teenager somewhere has all this power and all this knowledge that basically was the antagonist that you've killed. And now you also have no idea how it looks like because that was an event before. Now you have this disadvantage because you have no idea which one is the antagonist at this point. Now, as it builds back up its army and tries to wreck the world again, that will kind of create this endless loop, so to speak. The only way to stop a Hyperborean is to seal them, because if you kill them, they will be reborn.
I see. Can you theoretically be sealed by some entity in this world?
Yes.
And then it's just game over completely, and you can't play the game anymore and have to start again completely fresh, I assume?
No. They're probably the who worship the. Let's say you seal the antagonist. You put the seal, let's say in a cave. Let's say it's a sealed object, just for visual reference. You put it somewhere in the cave, and now you're guarding the living heck out of this place. Now there might be worshippers of that antagonist that will try to break the seal.
Oh, I see. So theoretically, if a player got sealed, it would be kind of like game over. But eventually, your seal might be broken, and you come back. The next moment, I don't know, 50 years have passed because you got unsealed.
Yes.
I see. Interesting. Generally speaking, what is your studio's stance on AI in game development or AI in general?
We're trying to use it in a good way as much as possible due to the budget constraints that we have and the sheer amount of possibility that can bring to the table. But as in general, you can say we're not against it, but at the same time, we're against it. Depends on how it's used and when it's used. Like how we use it for our event manager. We don't use the data set that we downloaded from the internet, for example, or something like that.
Okay, so you're basically using an algorithm, but you're not gonna have it be trained on data that you don't own or that you don't have permission for.
Exactly.
So you'll train it yourself and everything, even though that's like a mammoth task as well, right? It takes a lot of effort. That's why all the big companies steal the data, right?
Unfortunately, yes.
I see. So you would say that the way that AI is being used is important, and not whether or not, like, it's like a kitchen knife. A kitchen knife can be a weapon, but at its essence, it's a tool. It depends on how you use it.
Yeah. Same with the hammer.
Yeah, exactly. So your studio is against that specific. So you don't use AI art, for instance, or AI voices as well. You just do that yourself as well, or?
No, the AI voices we will use, but not somebody's voice.
Okay, so you'll probably have it like either be trained on like data you provide.
Yes, there are this kind of a new tech with the how they are called, the language engines.
Mm-hmm.
And they basically they can form sentences in any language. And what's nice about them that initially it was very robotic voice, but as slowly they realized that they can tweak certain values to make it more human-like without copying a human. Like when you do pauses or or thinking, or when you start to be angry about something, like you can just raise a little bit the pitch or something like that. Then with basically electronic controllers, you can nowadays make it unbelievably realistic.
I see. Generally speaking, what AI or machine learning models are you using, and are there specific reasons for why you're using those, as opposed to other same models?
Well, we use models that learn themselves. We don't use models that, I don't know, look up, let's say, ArtStation and starts to model similar to what it sees in ArtStation, because we don't want to indirectly take others' creations or something like that. That's why I mentioned on how we build our items. So we're not going into this unnecessary fight that's going on. I mean, we don't want to be in the middle of the fight. What I wanted to say with this.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like, honestly, I think that it's very. It sounds like you're doing it in an ethical way, where you even like if you train something on data, you provide the data yourself or have permission for the data. I assume.
Yeah, like I can give you a very simple example. You have a chess game.
Yeah.
Now you don't take to steal a chess book to teach the AI to do those fancy strategies, like long-term strategies to beat the opponent. You can let the AI just move the pieces around until he manages to play very well chess.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can achieve the same goal without taking somebody else's data, basically.
Yeah, it just takes a lot longer and also probably costs a lot, I'd imagine.
Yes, but now with the NVIDIA's advancements, the AI, I mean, the GPU servers are better than the CPU servers on training AIs.
I see, I see. Yeah, it
So,
sounds very, very interesting. You also mentioned earlier that the player will be able to talk to the NPCs and they'll respond. You can have conversations with them.
yeah, it won't feel very natural. I will be honest from the start, due to the fact that we're not using some voice actor's voice. I don't want to create too much hype and then shoot myself in the leg with the replies of people saying like this sounds like shit. It might. If you like Hollywood movies, for you probably it will sound like shit, but if you appreciate the fact that you can talk with somebody and have a human niche reply, I guess we are hoping to be the first step in going in this direction.
Yeah, it's important that you get the illusion of realism and not actual realism.
Yes, yes.
Because we play games because we don't want to have the conversations in real life, right?
Yeah,
Even if,
exactly. And
yeah.
we try to side with a bunch of psychologists and psychiatrists to make it in such a way that, let's say, if you feel depressed and in the game, let's say you've made a companion, now you can obviously talk with that companion, not just a random NPC in a village. You can also make meaningful conversations with your companion and say, today I feel sad because, I don't know, something happened to me. Maybe that he purposely won't have any idea what's a car. Let's say you were in a car accident. He will understand that you were in an accident. He won't know what's a car or what's TV, because we intentionally remove those words to still keep you in that ancient world.
Okay, so it will
But
be pretty limited, but perhaps it can offer some companionship, even if it's not perfect. And it's not going to be like a real conversation. It's just going to be kind of working, basically.
yeah, your companion in the game, hopefully in a further iteration of the game, not in the first one, will basically can become that someone that you can talk to no matter what, or no matter what the subject.
And to be able to use your microphone and to have the, I'll just call it AI, but it's machine learning and
Yeah,
everything, to have like the AI understand that, it would probably have to like collect the data that it gets from you. Does it get saved anywhere, or can there be any concerns for that sort of stuff?
well, those concerns will fall on the player's side. Everything that he will talk with that particular NPC will be stored on his computer. So if his computer will be hacked, then we cannot help with that. That's
Oh, I see.
you need.
So, like, the conversations are saved on the player side and will probably get deleted at some point on the player side as well.
Yeah. The player can just erase it.
Do you have any plans to also limit NPCs in a way? Because in the past, whenever there were experiments with machine learning and AI, especially in social media, there's always been a trend that these bot accounts, would eventually turn into like racists or something like that. Is that something that you want to stop, or would you just let people do whatever they want with your game?
Well, people will do whatever they want with their game. We don't want to limit the AI, but the difference between those games and this game is that the AI will try to thrive and survive as in humans example as a community, like even the wolves as a pack or something like that. But it won't be a race to finish the game and try to beat you to finish the game, because if you enjoy more crafting things, you can craft in the game and sell them and not even bother with the main quest.
Oh
Or
no,
even
I think there was like a small misunderstanding. What I meant was that a lot of like online social media experiments with AI turned where the internet basically interacted with these bots, basically made them racist in the process, where they would post like Nazi shit and stuff on Twitter or whatever. Um,
race.
yeah,
Okay.
like racist or anti-Semite or homophobic or whatever. Do you have like limitations in place so that your game characters don't start saying very weird things or very bad things, and someone can just take a screenshot and say, "Oh, this game is racist," Or like, do you have any limitations in place, like a hard reset or something, if it gets too far?
It,
Or are you not against the idea
there's-
of literally players doing whatever they want with your game?
oh yeah. I misunderstood the racist part. The I was thinking as in a race to finish the game, not in
Yeah,
racist.
it happens. Language barrier and everything.
Uh, that's why we're trying to work with psychologists and psychiatrists. There is a team that are working now to uh, manage ADHD or autism with playing games, basically. And with this community that we will we will get the help from, with with their help we'll manage to make the AI in such a way that it will not provoke you to do something, but try to help you. Uh, I don't know how to say. Try to put you on
Help
the good.
yourself, basically.
Yes. Obviously, there might be a racist thing like, don't know, Ankana against humans. They will make jokes like you look like a monkey, like a hairless monkey, and the human can make a joke about the Ancana, like you look like a cat, that I don't know, some weird stuff that you cannot use it in as an insult in real life from one human to another human. Not in that sense.
All right. I would probably just leave it at that. We're now like an hour into the recording and everything, and I'm running a bit like I gotta eat food and stuff. Is there anything else you would like to tell to my viewers, readers, etc.? Any links that people should check out, etc.?
Yeah, definitely join our Discord and sign up to our newsletter on our website, and you can follow us on any social media you fancy.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you for having me.